Have you ever noticed how your day seems brighter when you wake up in a good mood? Or how a room feels different when you're happy versus when you're sad? This isn't just in your head. It's a deep truth about life that Buddhist teachers have known for thousands of years. Everything we see and feel around us connects to what's happening inside us. When we change our inner lives, the world around us changes too. This powerful idea can transform how we live each day. It means we have more control over our lives than we might think. In the words of Nichiren Daishonin, if the minds of the people are impure, their land is also impure, but if their minds are pure, so is their land. This simple statement holds a profound truth. The world we experience isn't separate from us, it's a reflection of what's in our hearts and minds. Think about how a room looks when someone is feeling down. Clothes might be scattered around, dishes unwashed, and curtains closed against the sun. The same room, when that person feels better, might be clean, bright, and welcoming. The room itself didn't change, the person's inner state changed, and they created a different environment as a result. This idea goes beyond just keeping things tidy. It touches every part of our lives, our relationships, our work, and even our planet. The Buddhist concept for this is called Esho Funi, which means the oneness of self and environment. Funi means two, but not two. It sounds strange at first, but it means that while we seem separate from the things around us, at a deeper level, we're connected to everything. Nichiren wrote, "Life at each moment encompasses both self and environment of all sentient beings in every condition of life and insentient beings, plants, sky and earth, on down to the most minute particles of dust." This means that life isn't just what's inside us, it includes everything around us too. Our inner life and outer world are two sides of the same coin. When we ride on a crowded train, our experience depends on our inner state. If we're angry or impatient, the crowd feels like a horrible nuisance. If we're calm and compassionate, we might notice a pregnant woman who needs a seat or feel connected to our fellow travelers. The train didn't change, we did. The Buddha taught this lesson through his own example. Once, he and his follower Ananda visited a small pond. The water was muddy and dirty. The Buddha asked Ananda, "What do you see?" Ananda replied that the water was unfit to drink. The Buddha asked Ananda to wait without disturbing the pond. After some time had passed, the Buddha invited Ananda to look again. The mud had settled, and the water was now clear. "This is how the mind works," explained the Buddha. "When we let our thoughts settle, clarity comes naturally." This teaching feels freeing because it means we don't need to change everything around us to be happy. Instead, we can work on changing ourselves. As we become more patient, kind, and wise, our experience of the world transforms too. Even difficult situations become chances to grow stronger and more compassionate. A story from Shakyamuni Buddha's time shows this principle in action. A man named Angulimala was a feared killer who wore a necklace made from his victim's fingers. When the Buddha encountered him, instead of running away in fear, the Buddha remained calm and compassionate. This unexpected response confused Angulimala and opened his heart. Through the Buddha's influence, this violent man eventually became a peaceful monk. The Buddha didn't change Angulimala's past, but by changing how he responded to him, he changed Angulimala's future. The Lotus Sutra, one of Buddhism's most important texts, describes this power to transform our environment through an image of rain. It says that when the Dharma rain falls, it's the same rain for everyone, but each plant grows differently according to its nature. In the same way, the same environment affects each person differently based on their inner life. The sutra states, "The rain falls everywhere, both on the just and unjust. The rain makes no distinctions, yet each plant receives what it needs." Our inner transformation doesn't just affect how we feel about our surroundings, it can literally change them. Think about a group of neighbors who don't know each other and keep to themselves. If one person decides to be friendly and starts greeting others, over time the whole neighborhood might become more connected and supportive. The buildings didn't change, but the environment of relationships transformed because one person changed their approach. We see this in nature too. In places where people treat the land with respect and care, forests thrive and waters run clean. In areas where greed drives people to take too much, the environment suffers. As Nichiren observed, The properties of a land are determined by the people who inhabit it. Our collective inner states shape the physical world we share. This might seem like a big responsibility. If our inner lives affect our environment, then we each play a part in creating the world around us. But this is also empowering. It means we're not helpless victims of circumstance. We can make a difference by working on ourselves. Dogen, a Buddhist teacher who lived around the same time as Nichiren, wrote, "To study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be actualized by myriad things." This means that when we look deeply into ourselves and let go of our narrow focus on our own wants and problems, we connect with everything around us. We see how our actions affect others, and how their actions affect us. Small changes in our hearts can lead to big changes in our world. If we're feeling angry at someone, we might see everything they do in a negative light. But if we make an effort to feel grateful for the good things they've done, we start to notice more positive aspects of their behavior. The other person might even respond to our changed attitude by being kinder to us. One small shift inside us can create a ripple effect. Nichiren taught that we all have Buddha nature, the potential for wisdom, courage, and compassion inside us. He wrote, "Never seek this Gohanzen outside yourself. The Gohanzen exists only within the mortal flesh of us ordinary people." Gohanzen refers to the object of devotion in Nichiren Buddhism, but here he's saying that the sacred truth exists within us. We don't need to look elsewhere for answers, we can find them by bringing forth our best qualities. When we tap into our Buddha nature, we naturally create value in our environment. A person who is at peace tends to create peaceful surroundings. Someone filled with love tends to build loving relationships. This doesn't mean difficulties disappear. Life will always have challenges. But our response to those challenges can transform them from obstacles into opportunities. The Sanskrit word, karma, is often misunderstood as fate or punishment. But it simply means action. Every thought, word, and deed we perform creates effects that shape our future experiences. By changing our actions now, we change what we'll experience later. As the Buddha said, we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. This teaching becomes especially important when we face problems that seem too big to solve, like environmental destruction or social conflict. We might think, what difference can one person make? But Buddhism teaches that every positive change begins with individual transformation. As Nichiren wrote, when we revere the lotus of the heart, the lotus of the environment will assuredly blossom. By working on our own hearts and actions, we contribute to healing the larger world. There's a story about the Buddha's disciple Shariputra that illustrates this point. Once, Shariputra was meditating in a forest when a mischievous spirit placed a dead snake on his head. Shariputra remained in meditation, unaware of the snake. When his friends told him about it later, he wasn't angry or upset. He simply said, "I didn't notice because my mind was elsewhere." Because he maintained his inner peace, what could have been a disturbing event had no power over him. Our inner transformation doesn't happen overnight. It takes daily practice and patience. In ancient texts, this practice is compared to polishing a mirror. A dusty mirror can't reflect clearly, just as a troubled mind can't see reality clearly. By regularly cleaning the mirror of our minds through meditation, self-reflection, and positive actions, we begin to see ourselves and our environment more accurately. The good news is that we can start small. We don't need to become perfect all at once. Even one moment of true kindness or clarity can begin to shift our experience. As Tian Te, a Chinese Buddhist master admired by Nichiren, wrote, "From the indivisible one moment of life through which we are now living, we can perceive the 3,000 realms of existence in their entirety." This means that each moment contains the potential for complete transformation. When we understand the oneness of self and environment, we take responsibility for our actions in a new way. We see that littering isn't just making a mess out there, it's polluting the world that we're connected to. Being rude to someone isn't just hurting them, it's creating an environment of conflict that we have to live in too. As the Buddha taught, hatreds never cease by hatred in this world, by love alone they cease. This is an eternal law. Nichiren encouraged his followers with these words: "Winter always turns to spring." This simple phrase reminds us that change is constant, and even the most difficult circumstances will eventually transform. Our job is to nurture the seeds of spring within ourselves, even when the world around us feels cold and dark. As we bring forth our inner warmth and light, we help spring arrive both within and without. The principle of transform within, change without gives us hope and direction. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the world's problems or our personal struggles, we can focus on the inner changes we have the power to make right now. As we become more aware, compassionate, and wise, our environment naturally begins to reflect these qualities. This doesn't mean we shouldn't take direct action to improve our surroundings. We should clean up pollution, work for justice, and help others in need. But Buddhism teaches that these outer actions are most effective when they come from transformed hearts and minds. As Nichiren wrote, first of all, achieve happiness for yourself, then work for the happiness of others. The relationship between inner transformation and outer change isn't always straightforward or immediate. Sometimes we might make great progress in our inner development but still face difficult external circumstances. At other times, a small inner shift might lead to surprisingly large environmental changes. The connection exists, but it unfolds according to its own timing and pattern. What matters most is that we keep making efforts in both directions, cultivating our best qualities within and creating positive change without. As we do this, we'll gradually experience more harmony between our inner and outer worlds. We'll see how truly interconnected they are, just as Nichiren taught. The wisdom of transform within, change without has guided Buddhist practitioners for thousands of years. It remains just as relevant today, offering a path forward in our complex and challenging times. By remembering that we are not separate from our environment, that we are, too, but not two, we discover our power to create positive change that ripples outward, touching countless lives. As Nichiren encouraged his followers, become the master of your mind rather than let your mind master you. This is where true transformation begins, in the choices we make each moment about how to think, feel, and act. When we master our minds, we begin to master our environment as well. The inner and outer revolutions move forward together, each supporting and strengthening the other.